welcome everybody. Thank you for the occasion to present my project. My project was inspired by the decolonizing discussion and the absence or limited quantity of such discussion in law department, in law generally. Because law obviously differs from different social sciences in the sense that the flexibility to choose materials is much smaller, in the sense that we have to refer to applicable law, we have to refer to statutes, to case law, to judges, etc., etc. So this is why I wanted to assess whether there is a scope for decolonizing law curriculum. And firstly, I would like to just say at the beginning that diversifying is something else. Decolonizing, diversifying can be done on many levels. For instance, taking into account gender, disability, so forth, working class, any category you might want. And decolonizing is something else. It's about reversing the process of assuming the universality of the European and Western thought. So in law, that would be a really difficult thing to do, because it would require assessing how our view and how colonization impacted the law and how we could reverse it or assess it. So problems I wanted to assess and problems I wanted to address in this project were attainment gap, and this is what's happening at LSE, and we can and there is data that the Bangladeshi, Pakistani, and Black groups at LSE are awarded with 30% less first-class diplomas, and there is evidence that this might be caused in part by lack of sense of belonging and by lack of representation within the reading list. The second, which I touched upon, is student experience, and then more principally perpetuating the narrow European mindset, which is not the only one in the world. So what I've done is three tier. Firstly, I've reviewed the reading list for compulsory subject in law, and this comes with several limitations. Firstly, it is content free, so obviously I'm not reading all of them and assessing 1 to 10 how diverse or how decolonized they are. I'm just looking at institutional affiliation, ethnicity, and gender of the authors. So this is in a way very limiting. Then there are difficulties with categorizing the authors. I didn't want to assume anybody's ethnicity. I thought it would be very insensitive. So I struggled with it a little bit. I wanted to approach it in the most effective and the most sensitive way. So I just used the, I was just trying to assess the number of white people and the percentage of white people on every reading list. Then this obviously focuses more on diversifying than decolonizing content-wise. And then obviously character of reading lists in law is a little bit different, in a sense that it's not that article heavy, it's not that books heavy, it's a very statute heavy. There is a lot of collective pieces going on. So for instance, pieces where you can't really attribute the identity to the author. So that were my limitations. There were more limitations. This is a very limited study, and I wanted to appreciate it the most. Then I conducted a survey with students and interviews with the staff. So firstly, findings in my review of reading lists, I checked the identities of authors for 533 pieces, which was here all the subjects listed, and with finding that there is at least 87.65 white authors in queer readings and at least 93.14 in further readings. And I say at least because when the author was unclear, when I couldn't assume the ethnicity, I would not classify it as white. So this is how it would look like, the smallest possible number of white people. Then we've got 21% of women authors in key readings, 28 in further readings. So we can see how women are not really centralized, but then there are a little bit more women included in the further reading lists. And then I looked at institutional affiliations. So I looked at how many authors are coming from institutions in America or Europe, and these numbers you can see on on the screen, they're very similar to the ethnicity ones. So very vast majority of people who are on the reading list are coming from Europe or North America. Then this is just the graph for what I've been talking about. And then there are some very interesting findings in the survey. I didn't manage to find as much participants as I would want to. I found 35 significant responses. And in these very responses, there is like very big division when it comes to a particular subject. So students are very critical towards jurisprudence and public law, which is very much similar to my findings in reading lists. So there, it is very visible for students how diverse reading lists are. Here you can take a look at the wider numbers. So in jurisprudence, for instance, 52 people agrees or strongly agree that the subject perpetuates too narrow mindset, and this is significantly lower. Yeah. Okay. So well, let me wrap up. This is a little bit more optimistic in the sense that people do find that teachers try to contextualize these ideas, and then I've got a few more findings here. Maybe I won't go through the interviews with the staff because they're very complex and very different, but generally my main recommendation would be to either engage in a discussion about how to create inclusive, decolonized, diverse reading lists, and this is the first step I would like to recommend to the LSE. And secondly, finding that many students as well as many members of the staff strongly recommends creating a separate module on race and law or on decolonizing. So these are very much shortened and simplified findings I could offer you, and I welcome any questions you might have, and it was a pleasure conducting this study.